in the heart of suburban Chicago, where manicured lawns hid the cracks in perfect marriages. Mary Thompson stared at her husband, John, across the granite kitchen island. The morning sun filtered through the blinds, casting striped shadows on his smug face. They'd been married for 12 years, high school sweethearts turned power couple. John was a mid-level executive at a downtown tech firm, always chasing the next promotion, while Mary ran a successful boutique bakery in the Loop, turning flour and sugar into edible art. That kept the city's elite coming back for more. "I'm going to cheat today, you can too." "No hard feelings," John said casually, sipping his black coffee as if he'd just commented on the weather. He adjusted his tie, his eyes flicking to his phone where a notification pinned softly. Mary froze, her spoon hovering over her yogurt parfait. The words hung in the air like a bad smell, impossible to ignore. "What did you just say?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of the fridge. John shrugged, not even looking up. "Come on, Mary, we've been in a rut. Spice things up. One day of freedom, no questions asked. It's modern, right? Like that article I read on open relationships." He flashed a grin, the same one that had charmed her back in their Indiana hometown. But now it looked predatory. Mary's mind raced. Was this a joke? A test? Or the confession she'd half suspected for months, the late nights at work, the secretive texts, the sudden interest in gym memberships? She forced a smile, playing along. "Sure, honey. No hard feelings." Inside, a storm brewed. By the time John kissed her cheek and headed out the door, his BMW purring down the driveway, Mary was already plotting. What happened next changed everything. Mary didn't cry. She wasn't the type. Instead, she called in sick to the bakery, citing a migraine, and paced the living room of their 2-story colonial home. The walls were adorned with photos. Their wedding in a rustic barn. Vacations in Aspen. The day they bought this house in Oak Park. All lies now, she thought. John had always been the golden boy, charismatic, ambitious, the one everyone envied. But Mary? She was the backbone, the one who balanced the books, hosted the parties, and kept their social circle intact. She grabbed her laptop and dove into research. First, she confirmed her suspicions. Logging into their shared cloud account, John was too arrogant to change passwords. She found deleted emails from Jennifer, a junior colleague at his firm. Flirty messages, plans for lunch that stretched into evenings. Tonight was their big rendezvous, a hotel downtown, the kind with overpriced minibars and discreet check-ins. But Mary wasn't content with confrontation. No, she wanted revenge that would burn slow and deep, dismantling his life piece by piece. She remembered her grandmother's old saying from the family farm in rural Illinois. "Revenge is a dish best served cold and with a side of justice." Mary would serve a feast. Step 1. Gather allies. Mary texted her best friend, Elizabeth, a divorce attorney in the city who'd seen it all. "Emergency brunch. My place. Bring wine and your shark teeth." Elizabeth arrived within the hour, armed with Chardonnay and a laptop full of templates for asset division. "He's an idiot," Elizabeth said, pouring glasses. "But we can make him pay literally." They mapped out the finances. Joint accounts. The house mortgage, John's $401K. Mary had contributed more than half from her bakery profits. Elizabeth advised freezing accounts discreetly. But Mary wanted more. "I need him humiliated," she said, publicly. Next, Mary reached out to her brother, David, a cybersecurity whiz in Silicon Valley who'd moved back to Chicago after a startup flop. Over a video call, she explained the situation. David's face hardened. "Sis, I got you. Give me his work email and phone." By afternoon, David had hacked into John's corporate network, not deeply enough to get caught, but enough to pull emails, browser history, and even his expense reports. Turns out Jennifer wasn't the first. There were others. A barista from last year's conference in Vegas, a yoga instructor from their gym, and worse, John had been skimming company funds for these dates, labeling them as client entertainment. Mary's rage turned calculated. She contacted Jennifer anonymously via a burner app, posing as a concerned friend. "He's married and using company money. Watch your back." Jennifer's response was panicked. "Who is this? How do you know?" Mary planted seeds of doubt, attaching screenshots of John's other flings. Divide and conquer. But the real coup: Mary's bakery catered events for John's firm. She called his boss, William, under the guise of confirming an upcoming team-building lunch. Casually, she mentioned overhearing John talk about personal expenses on work trips. "I wouldn't want any issues," she said sweetly. William's tone shifted. "Thanks for the heads up, Mary. We'll look into it." As the sun climbed higher, John texted Mary. "Having fun yet?" She replied with a heart emoji, then got to work. She drove downtown, her SUV blending into the rush hour traffic on I-90. First stop, the hotel where John and Jennifer planned to meet. Mary booked the adjacent room using a fake name and prepaid card. From there, she set up a small Bluetooth camera courtesy of David's gadget, stash hidden in a potted plant in the lobby. It captured John arriving, arm around Jennifer, laughing as they checked in. While they were occupied, Mary executed phase 2. She met Elizabeth at a coffee shop near John's office. Together, they filed for divorce electronically, citing infidelity and financial misconduct. Elizabeth had connections. The papers would be served publicly at his workplace the next day. But Mary wasn't done. She hacked into John's social media again, thanks to David, and scheduled posts to go live at 5 p.m. right when his colleagues would be winding down. The posts? Screenshots of his emails, blurred just enough to imply scandal without full exposure. Tagged his boss, co-workers, even their mutual friends. The caption: "Living my best life, freedom day." Who's next? Back home, Mary packed John's things into boxes, labeling them cheater's belongings with a Sharpie. She changed the locks, courtesy of a locksmith friend from the neighborhood. Then, the piece de resistance. She invited their entire social circle neighbors, church friends, even John's golf buddies to an impromptu barbecue at 7 p.m. The invite read: "Celebrating new beginnings. Come hear the story." John's day crumbled like a stale cookie. First, Jennifer stormed out mid-tryst, screaming about his lies after checking her phone. "You're a fraud," she yelled, loud enough for the hallway to hear. John chased her, disheveled, only to find his phone blowing up. His boss called. "John, we need to talk. Now. HR has some questions about your expenses." The embezzlement trail David uncovered. It led to an immediate suspension. Panicking, John raced home, but the locks were changed. He pounded on the door as neighbors peeked from windows. Mary watched from inside, sipping wine. When he called, she answered on speaker. No hard feelings, right? The barbecue started without him. 30 guests arrived, curious. Mary stood on the deck, microphone in hand, borrowed from her bakery's event kit. "Friends, John gave me permission to cheat today. But instead I chose truth." She projected the evidence on a screen. Emails, texts, the hotel cam footage. Blurred for decency. Gasps rippled through the crowd. John's golf buddies shifted uncomfortably. His church pals whispered prayers. John showed up midway, red-faced and furious. "Mary, what the hell?" But the crowd turned on him. His best friend, Linda, punched him square in the jaw. "You disgust me, man." Police were called not by Mary, but by a neighbor for the disturbance. John spent the night in a motel, his car towed for blocking the street. The divorce was swift and brutal. Elizabeth shredded John in court. Mary got the house, half his retirement, and alimony tied to his future earnings. The embezzlement scandal cost him his job. His firm pressed charges, leading to a plea deal with probation and restitution. Jennifer sued him for emotional distress, winning a small settlement that further drained his savings. John's social life evaporated. Friends ghosted him. Family distanced themselves after. Mary shared the story at Thanksgiving, hosted at her place. Of course, he moved to a dingy apartment in the suburbs, working odd jobs far from the executive suites. Mary? She thrived. Her bakery boomed with the publicity. Women flocked for revenge cupcakes, red velvet with a hidden spicy kick. She started a podcast, No Hard Feelings, sharing stories of empowerment. Dates poured in, but she took her time, rebuilding on her terms. Years later, John spotted her at a Chicago street fair, arm in arm with a new love, a kind architect named David. John approached, apologetic. "Mary, I was wrong." She smiled, that same sweet grin he'd once loved. "No hard feelings," she said, walking away. But inside, she knew. Revenge wasn't just sweet, it was transformative. What happened that day didn't just change everything. It set her free.